my big mistake when I started teaching this environmental storytelling class at Bard was that I was putting all the emphasis on the environmental issues, and I didn't really understand that these students, despite the fact that they were very thoughtful and really interesting thinkers and actually really good writers, had never had real training in how to tell a story. And I was stunned. We got about 5 weeks into the first class, and a student put up his hand and said, well, how do I tell a story? So I think that almost is, before you get to the subject matter, you almost have to make sure that people are comfortable telling a story. For some of us, me, that's what I've always done, tell stories. So it came naturally, but for a lot of students, especially, I think it's interesting to give them things to read, give them examples of good writing that you like, and whether it's profiles or issue-oriented stuff, and then encourage them to investigate. So I switched around my curriculum so that I actually start with how do you tell a story versus what story are you interested in telling.
When I teach stuff, I often give a lot of examples and kind of break them down structurally so that people can see how they're constructed. So that's one part. But I also really encourage students or anyone who's involved in storytelling to really include some part of themselves in the story. To make something, when you make something personal, then you begin to have a touch point, I think, for people to enter the story in some way. And sometimes it means revealing vulnerabilities or something about yourself that's maybe, not that public, or that shows that, you're sort of maybe feeling like you're a little bit of an outsider. And that's an important part for everybody to hear. So I think that's something that's also key for me. But students, I mean, the ones that I've worked with often have a very keen sense of storytelling just innately. So it's kind of amazing just to let them go.
I would carry on what Kathy's saying about grounding storytelling in personal expertise, in personal experience, in passion, in your own personal passion. And if you can find that as a foundation for a student, then that's a space where they can start creating generative dialogue around their subject, because they're grounded. And I think that is really critical. And whether it's college students or little kids, actually, or any of us.
I definitely agree with the idea that our sort of personal experiences, of course, a story, like every human being who exists, is sort of living out their own story. And I think being given the confidence to believe that your individual story is worth telling and worth hearing, I think, is a wonderful way to start. I think giving kids that sort of sense that, it's not just these people or these special kind of people that get to tell stories. It's you, it's everybody. That's how we create the richness of the human experience. And then, I would just say to what Branda said, participating in the world and really looking around and seeing things honestly is a million stories emerge from really looking at the world and really trying to understand it and perceive it, rather than just kind of glazing over, in those details and stuff like that. So
the Moth is a storytelling event, a live storytelling event, and these are two environmental ones that I share with my students, and to get them to think about what are the key elements, how are the emotion, why does the story matter, how is this person telling the story, how is it moving you or making you think differently about the environment. So those are two really great ones. And if you're looking to engage students, I'll play them, and actually it seems awkward, but the students seem to like it and listen and laugh along with the stories. And then someone posted in the chat also about like, what does it look like to have a community? It's all hands on deck. And I just want to mention Pamela Pettyjohn, who works in Coney Island Creek. She has the Coney Island Beautification Project, and she talks a lot about kitchen table conversation. She's like a 20 or 30 year long resident. And so that for her, like, she's mobilized so much of the Coney Island community in getting the word out about, Coney Island Creek and the pollution and stewardship and citizen science. And so, I think for me, when I think of that, like all hands on deck, I think of Pamela Pettyjohn and the work she's doing. That's very homegrown in Coney Island Creek.